Hey, how's it going? It's Ollie here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about motivation and procrastination when you're building your business. Now, it's January, so it's the start of the year, albeit slightly strange start to a year, probably the strangest start to a year I've ever had, actually, seeing as Christmas felt slightly different to usual this year. But nevertheless, January makes different people feel different things. Right? Some people feel really motivated in January. Usually I feel quite motivated in January, especially towards the end of January. And I'm usually quite excited about the year ahead, and I want to set goals, and I'm very much into the new year, new me stuff, even though a lot of people are quite cynical about that. And I do set New Year's resolutions, and I do create like a theme for the year ahead, and I quite often try to stick to it as much as possible. Some people get demotivated in January and they're like, oh, the weather's rubbish, it's cold, it's dark, Christmas is over, I don't feel that great, I want it to be summer, and these are the feelings that some people have. So everybody is experiencing a slightly different thing right now. So obviously this is going to have an effect on your motivation and your levels of procrastination when it comes to building your business, right? Especially if building your business is the number 2 thing in your life, whereas having a job is the number 1 thing in terms of priorities and basically what pays the bills, right? So how do we get around this, and how can I offer you some help to stay motivated, to procrastinate less, and to get momentum and take consistent action in 2021? So by the end of the year, you can see a real change, because at the end of the day, isn't that really what we want? We want to see a real change. Right? I've seen so many people who are interested. They have a casual interest in building a business, and they've never seen it make a big change to their life. Like they may have been interested in building a business for several years, and it's always just been theory. It's always just been a case of listening to podcasts, watching videos, but nothing's ever clicked, and they never really made any real money. And that can get demotivating. So how do we make this year different? How to make this year the year when everything changes, you make an income, and you start to really move forward and make some progress? Well, there's a concept I was talking about with my platinum clients last Tuesday when we were having our coaching call, and I call it the floss one tooth principle. Okay, and I actually learned this from a coach that I'm learning from about how to make music, or how to make music consistently, and how to free up the creative process. Right? Because I know how to make music, but I've always had a bit of a problem with being consistent. Anyway, this coach was telling a really interesting story about how he got somebody who was a serial procrastinator and just constantly procrastinated to stop procrastinating and consistently make a lot more music and do a lot more work. And by the end of this process, I think they finished an entire album, which is a huge project. There's just so much that goes into it. So he must have solved his procrastination issue. The way he did it is he used the floss one tooth philosophy. So this is how it works, right? If you want to floss your teeth every day and you want to build that habit, it can be a surprisingly difficult habit to install into your life. Right? Even though flossing your teeth, if you really think about it, it takes about 2 minutes every day. It's 2 minutes out of your day, out of the 16 hours we have, and yet it can be a difficult thing to start doing. I found it difficult to develop that habit, to be honest. So one way you can do it is, rather than saying to yourself you have to floss your teeth every day, say to yourself, just floss one tooth. That's all you have to do today. Just floss one tooth. And if you do that, then today you have won. That is a win. That is a huge leap progress. You can pat yourself on the back and you can say, you've made progress. And just do the same thing again tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day. Now, the great thing about this principle is by lowering the bar and going from, okay, you have to floss all your teeth and do this thing that's so much effort and it's like a really annoying, cumbersome thing, lowering the bar to just have to floss one tooth, you actually get started with the flossing process. And the getting started bit is the hardest part. In fact, once you get, have you ever noticed, like when you're really dreading doing a task, it could be anything, washing up, it could be studying, it could be whatever it is, right? Exercising. The getting started bit is the toughest bit. Once you're started, actually, from that point onwards, it actually, you can almost start to enjoy it in a way. Have you ever had that experience? Like I'm always used to have it with writing essays at university and at school. I would dread it, and it would be like the most horrible thing in my mind that I would have to do. Like, oh, I've got to write this essay. Oh, it's going to take so long. It's going to be horrendous. But even if I just opened the document and just wrote the title, I actually felt like that was quite a big accomplishment. And then after writing the title, I'd be like, okay, well, I might as well write the first paragraph. And after writing the first paragraph, my mind starts moving forward, and then I might brainstorm some things to write for the next paragraph. And once the momentum started, actually, you've moved past the resistance you feel about doing the thing, and you move more into the zone of, okay, well, now I've started it, how am I going to finish it? Right? Your mind shifts, and it's a very big, substantial change in mindset. So with the floss one tooth principle, this is the same thing happens, right? If you can lower the bar and just say, I'm just going to floss one tooth, obviously you manage that. This is quite simple, right? You can just floss one tooth. It sounds easy, it sounds not scary. But then once you've flossed one tooth, you think, well, I've done one, that wasn't so bad. Maybe I should floss the next tooth. And then you do that. And then, once you've flossed the next tooth, you say, well, I've done two, I might as well do three. And then you do the next one, and before you know it, you've flossed all your teeth and you're ready to get on with your life. Right? It was getting over that initial hump in the beginning of just starting that was preventing you from doing anything. So by lowering the bar and just saying, I'm just going to floss one tooth, it makes the prospect of starting the thing seem a lot less daunting. And so if you're a serial procrastinator, or if you just need a little bit of help with your motivation, you just need to get started and do stuff, the floss one tooth principle will really help you. And you can apply this to Amazon. So anyway, going back to the story I was telling you about the music coach who was helping me create more music, he had a serial procrastinator who just couldn't write music. He just couldn't sit down to do it. So the coach said to him, okay, what I want you to do is don't worry about making music. That's all a little bit time consuming. It takes energy, it takes effort, right? Don't worry about that. All I want you to do is sit down at your computer for 1 minute every day. That's all you have to do. Sit down at your computer for 1 minute every day. It's the floss one tooth principle. It's lowering the bar. Right, so because the coach had told him to sit at the computer 1 minute per day, obviously he knew the coach was trying to get him to make music, right? So he said, all right, well, I can do this. And the first time he sat down at the computer, by the time he'd actually sat down, because the coach had told him to, he thought, well, I've sat down at the computer now, I might as well, open it up. When he opened it up, he thought, well, okay, I've opened up the computer, well, I might as well start my program, right, that he uses to make music. I think he was using Logic. And he opened Logic and he was like, okay, well, I might as well play something. I'm here now. And then you play something and it might sound alright and it might go in a direction. And then once he'd play something, he was like, oh, maybe I could add something else to it. And the ball was rolling, and this was the thing that got him to pick up the momentum. And, some days you'll sit down at the computer for 1 minute and you'll feel a lot of resistance. You'll try a few things and it won't work. Right? But the fact that you sat down at the computer, that's the win. Okay, so you still win. You might not want to do much work. You might be in a bad mood. You might just do 5 minutes. That's still a win. The next day, you might sit down at the computer and actually you start getting into it and you start doing things that are quite productive, and you might sit there for an hour or 2 hours before you even realize how much time has passed. It doesn't matter, right? That's amazing, but the win was just sitting down and getting over the hump of getting started. So to really kick January into gear, I want you to use this principle. Floss one tooth. Sit down at your computer for 1 minute with the intention to work on your business, but there's no pressure. All you have to do is sit down at your computer and see what happens, right? Set a goal for yourself to just do something very, very, very easy every single day towards your business. Some days you'll end up doing loads of work. Some days you'll end up doing barely anything. It's really the momentum that counts, because over time all of this work that you do will accumulate, right? And it will amount to loads of work done, loads of tasks completed over time. But you just have to get yourself over that hump, right? In fact, I'll be honest, one thing I'm struggling with at the moment, this week in particular for some reason, is the thing of getting back into work mode. It's what I call work mode. I'm usually in work mode for the whole year. Sometimes, once I'm in work mode, I actually find it a little bit tricky to switch off sometimes. Like I take weekends off, but during the week, sometimes my mind is just constantly racing. I always have ideas because I've trained that muscle, that work muscle and that idea muscle to be strong. So it's always working. I find it hard to switch off. And I don't really take time off during the year because I love what I do. But at Christmas time, I always take about 2 weeks off or sometimes 3 weeks off. Just that's the one time of my year when I just have a break, because I think it's really healthy. So you can get some perspective. I don't know why that word was so hard to say. So you can get some perspective on, what direction you're moving in, and just, look back at your year and review. I find it hard because then I switch off work mode, go into holiday mode, and it actually takes me a while to get back into work mode. Like I'm still not there right now. I've been procrastinating a little bit this week on doing things and just finding there's more resistance than usual. Now, because I've done this exact same thing for the past few years, I know that by maybe next week or the week after, I'll be back in work mode. It just takes a while for me to get there. But the point is, the reason why I'm encountering this resistance is because when you go into holiday mode or when you are procrastinating, what happens is you convince yourself that doing tasks is horrible. You convince yourself, you have a belief that being productive and doing tasks is a very negative and unpleasant experience. That's how you feel towards it, and that's why you don't do the tasks. Because you think to yourself, if I get started doing work, it's going to be so bad, it's going to be so boring, it's going to take so much energy. Right? But the point is, it's actually not true. It can actually be really fun. So by just doing more work and just lowering the bar, starting to do it, you start to have this shift in your brain where you actually, instead of hating the work or fearing getting started because you think it's going to be unpleasant, you can actually flip the switch and you can start to get addicted to it, because you realize that when you are productive, actually it's a really nice feeling. And so that's what happens to me when I get into work mode, and that's why sometimes it can actually be hard for me to turn it off. So there's two kind of lessons that I thought would complement each other to help you with any procrastination or motivation issues that you may have. I don't know if you're feeling really good now in January or if you need a boost or whatever it is, but even if you watch this later in the year, same principle applies. Number one, floss one tooth. Right? Start off with a very low bar that you can easily jump over just so you can get started, and then magic happens after that. Number two, keep doing this, and rather than fearing doing work, and dreading it, you'll realize that actually it's not so bad, and actually it could be kind of fun, and you'll look forward to doing it, and eventually you'll actually get addicted to doing work and doing things, because you'll feel that you're making progress and you get addicted to that progress because it's fun. It's like a video game, you get further and further and further, higher up in the levels, and you make more and more progress. Alright, hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments below how motivated you feel and what you're going to do to start flossing one tooth, alright, to get the momentum moving. And yeah, can't wait to see your results. Let's have an awesome 2021, and I'll speak to you very soon.